You should pull off your skin. 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 Now I've got your attention. I decided recently to actually go back and play Borderlands 3. This is mostly because of the movie and how bad it's doing, but it made me sort of realize that I may have been too harsh on the game. Because when I picked it back up again a few days ago, I kind of realized that, wow, I'm actually having fun. Like, not just getting footage for a video, like, no shit. I'm actually just enjoying myself. Now, honestly, I didn't think this was happening. So I was a bit perplexed, and I was a bit bewildered, you could say. I think doing my video on all Vault Hunters in Borderlands history, go and watch that by the way, in the least creepy way possible, probably helped my perspective. I actually had to look into the game, research, play each character. It gave me a broader view of how I should actually play the game and things you can do to enjoy the game more. Just looking from the outside in, you know? It got me, honestly. I started really enjoying myself. Like, I was playing the Tentacles DLC, the gay DLC, and I was really enjoying just playing through it, listening to the story, talking to different people, and collecting different loot. When you really put all the cards down on the table and just think about it for a few minutes, the game was actually pretty good. Now, it's weird. I can't even hear myself sometimes when I say that. But the game was actually pretty good. Looking back at it now, the entire ecosystem has been filled. The game has come out. All the DLCs come out. That's it. Endgame, baby. Quite a few years ago now, actually. There's so much content, and there's so much good content, right? I think the Borderlands 2 really made me think differently about this game in such a bad way that my mind just automatically wanted to think it was terrible just because of the story. Because Borderlands 2's story, and really any story in general, I think if you play a game like this, the story is probably what you're going to be replaying most of the time if you're creating new characters, right? Borderlands 2 is played so many times when you're making characters, like the base game, the actual story, that it needs to be good. And the fact that it was actually good means that you can replay it over and over again and still enjoy yourself. With Borderlands 3, because the story was so bad, it just really made me go, yeah, this game is trash. And I just didn't care about any of the other content that was in the game, even though there was quite a lot. I just want to preface that I do still think Borderlands 3's story is terrible. It's still tragic. It hasn't just magically gotten any better in the past few days just because of how bad the movie's doing. But it really shows you that a movie is that bad, it makes Borderlands 3's story look good.
I'm retarded?
That's not a great image to have, guys. It's like seeing a shit painted gold next to shit and saying, well, I mean, at least that one's gold colored, so that's good. It's better than the other one, right? It's like, no, that's still pieces of shit. So yeah, Borderlands 3's story isn't any better than it was 5 years ago. It's still bad. It's just less bad, so in comparison, it looks really good. And when I started playing it, I still thought, wow, this is really bad still.
Maya always told me a Vault Hunter runs toward the fire. All her stories were about you. You saved Pandora. You killed Handsome Jack. You're supposed to be the Firehawk.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
The movie, how is the movie worse than this? Like, this game looks really good now. I think the second reason as well why I didn't enjoy a lot of the content when it did come out is I never enjoyed Borderlands 2's content as soon as it came out. I got Borderlands 2 a few years after the game had come out, so I already had the game in its endgame point. Do you know what I mean? I didn't have the day one of Pirate's Booty, right? I experienced it when the game had already been fully released. So I didn't go into certain DLC thinking, oh my god, I've got so much other things to play, right? Borderlands 3 is sort of like, this is it. And then once you're finished with it, you've got to wait a few months till the next one comes out. And I was playing as the most OP build character in the entire game, Moe's just rocket launcher build. So when the DLC came out, I just played the fuck out of them, and I finished them so fast and just never explored them again.
What about this?
DLC.
Complete it, mate. You can't complete it.
Looking back now, I feel like I probably should have either one, took my time, or two, just probably played a different character. But it's not my fault I chose the most OP character in the entire game. I'd even argue now, and I am just gonna confuse the fuck out of myself when I say this. I honestly think, looking back, that Borderlands 3's DLCs, overall, they all banged pretty much. I don't think there was any of them that sucked complete titties, right? But if I look back at Borderlands 2, the only reason that I would go back and play Hammerlock's Gay Hunt DLC is for nostalgia purposes and the fact that I like the vibe. The creatures, the weird tribal people, tiki masks and all that shit. That's the only reason. Look at the Handsome Jackpot, right? Great premise, decent story, great vibe, gambling. I love gambling. It's not an addiction, okay? I'm just dedicated. Guns, Loves, and Tentacles is kind of a cool product. I like that. The only thing I didn't like about it, or don't like about it, because I'm replaying it right now, is Gage's character has just been assassinated. But you get that, I guess. I mean, looking back, I don't really care anymore. Every character's been assassinated, so it's not really a surprise. I've kind of been numb to that at this point. I'm not too ragey compared to what I was when I first heard it. Bounty of Blood is the vibe. If you want Red Dead Redemption in Borderlands, boom, baby. And that's one of the only DLCs that I ran through and sped run the fuck out of, and I actually still remember Rose. The boss fight was really quick, yes, but it was also very cool, and I actually did side quests in that game, and I loved the end of it. Psycho Krieg and the Fantastic Fustercluck is just the same type of thing that Claptastic's Voyage was. I absolutely love going into the minds of things and being like, what the heck? Why is your head like this, bro? Seek mental therapy. Same thing here as there, but also the fact that that DLC was so underrated meant that this DLC really had that shine moment when people would actually play it, because it was a game that people actually bought. Cough, cough. Yeah, but not many people bought the DLC for the pre-sequel, because not many people bought the normal pre-sequel. And then there was all the free events, which came out like a year and a half, I think, after the original game came out, or continued for a year and a half after the original game came out, which were all free as well, bear in mind. So you had Bloody Harvest, Broken Hearts, and Revenge of the Cartels, which all included their own in-game events. They included different skins, they included different weapons, and they included different bosses that you could go to and fight, all for free. You also had different things like Malawan takedowns, or the takedown events. Those takedown events were, I think, the closest Borderlands has ever got to a raid. And I remember when I quit Borderlands 3 for a while, I sort of started letting content drops happen, and then I came back and was just bewildered by the amount of stuff they'd added. I remember starting up the Malawan takedown because I went to the center console and I was like, what the fuck is this planet? Why is this here now? So I went to it and it was obviously the Malawan takedown. And when I played it, I was just like, what the hell? I have never felt this type of energy when going into a Borderlands thing ever. Like, I was so pumped and ready to find out what the hell was going on. Because I feel like in Borderlands, they just tell you where to go and what to do far too much. Like, they'll have the top left saying, go here, do this, and you can see it on your minimap, and you're like, okay, I gotta go there and do this. But this was sort of just like, it just said investigate, and then it shows a waypoint to this part of the map, and you're like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? And then it just sort of kept saying the same thing. That is amazing. Another thing I completely forgot about, and I kind of think is underrated, is the character dialogue. You forget that in Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 1, apart from a few lines, there really isn't any proper dialogue from the characters in the game. And yes, with later DLCs, they did introduce more lines. It's still nothing compared to what Borderlands 2 had.
Oh man, impossible puzzles, hairy dwarves, fiery explosions, best day ever!
Mind flayers are at it again. Puzzling pain.
I love that type of stuff, and Borderlands 3 does it really well. Once again, it's probably something I noticed because I started playing as Zane recently, but they've all got their own unique dialogue, so that means there's a reason to play all the DLC over and over again.
So you're kicking ass with the Raiders. Guess Lilith had to replace me eventually. Ready for some more action?
I was born kicking ass, and I'll die kicking ass.
That's why I'm here. Asses. And kicking them.
Malawan's full of teched out nerds. Let's kick him in the dick.
You know it. And if you don't know, now you know.
I have no mouth and I must vomit.
I think I threw up my entire skeleton.
Ugh, that landing. I've been in gentler fistfights.
Let's do it again!
The gameplay of Borderlands 3 It's definitely still a mixed bag for me. I do still prefer Borderlands 2s and the pre-sequels, and even somewhat Borderlands 1s, apart from that weird way they run in the game. If you played the game, you know what I'm talking about.
Why the fuck do my dog walk sideways, boy? Like, he don't walk regular. The pit walk heterosexually.
But the gameplay in 5 years has definitely grown on me. I vibe a lot more with it now, especially when I was playing it last night. I was just like having a lot of fun in the game, throwing grenades and figuring out what the fuck I'm supposed to do with Zane because I don't really play him. The gameplay of Borderlands has always been very fun, and especially with 3 people said that that's where it was perfected, and I held my bias for a long time saying, no, nothing would ever top Borderlands 2. And while I still prefer it because I feel like it's a bit less complicated and there's a bit less going on, there's a lot of particle effects I feel like in Borderlands 3 that you can just never tell what the fuck's going on. That's still a problem. If you install mods, you can get rid of the particle effects like very easily. And I'm very, very inclined to try out mods for Borderlands 3. I think it's Reborn mod. I really want to try that out. It's just one of them things where I've just started to naturally start to like it now that I've sort of pushed my biases back. And when you get so, not sick of games like Borderlands 2, but come on, I've played them for over 1,000 hours between the PS3, 4 and the PC, so you start to not really want to play them all the time anymore. And now I've got this game where I didn't really play it much, and now I have the opportunity, now all the content's come out, to actually just put my fucking eyes to the screen and start playing this motherfucker because there's so much content. Oh yeah, I don't know who thought this was a good idea when they implemented it, but Jesus Christ, this actually pisses me off.
Robotic Beastmaster.
Shut the fuck up! What are you listening to? We have fucking neighbors.
Ah yes, let's play the same audio line as soon as you scroll onto another character. Every time you scroll onto another character. Indefinitely. Mate, who the fuck thought that was a good idea? Why? Do not go thinking that I've just suddenly turned a 180 on the game. There are still big problems that I have with the game, but at this point, I'm just sort of like, mate, I don't give a shit anymore. I just want to have fun. Yeah, part of the game was getting legendaries because they were hard to get and rare, and obviously now they're sort of not. But I did talk about the mods that I thought of installing, like I think it's called the Reborn mod. It makes the drop rate for legendaries a hell of a lot lower, and I also think it makes it so you can't just buy legendaries from vending machines. Like, that is still a problem I have with the game. So it just shows you. I'm now willing to put that past me when I'm playing this game and just sort of go, yeah, it's a problem. I might be able to solve it with a mod, but if it's not, I mean, I'm just gonna have to deal with it. So yeah, I'm showing you that I don't think that the game is just ultimately perfect. It's just, it just blatantly isn't, but I'm still willing to play it nonetheless. Yeah, another thing I sort of thought was pretty good at the time, but now looking back at it, I kind of think it's amazing, is the music. I use a lot of music in my YouTube videos in the background, and when looking for music, I tend to go through video game soundtracks, since they rarely ever get copyright claimed compared to other music, and usually they just slap way harder. And I looked through Borderlands 3's discography of music, and oh my god, some of the tunes, absolute bangers, mate. Sanctuary's theme is the second best theme in the entire franchise. The main menu theme, I'd argue, is on par with the second game's theme, but that is the best. But this one is on par. It's just such a, like, you can just sit there and just go, yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself, but damn, I forgot how slept on the music in this game is. I mean, just listen to some of the bangers they've got in this soundtrack, man. People seem to forget that music is like the most important part of a video game a lot of the time. It can convey emotion, it can convey intensity or excitement, it can make you feel sad, it can make you want to take things slow and just sit around for a while, it can make you want to rush through stuff super fast. If you play a game without music, let's just try it now actually. If you go to any game that you play, right, it could be any game. Well, apart from maybe like chess or something, right? You smart ass. If you go to any game you want to play, right? Go to audio, go to music, and just whack that shit off. Play the game and just see how different it feels. Some games actually feel a lot more eerie when you play it without music. Like, play Borderlands 2 without music, and you just start shooting enemies. You just start feeling like, damn, bro, like these guys probably have like a family and stuff. But if you're playing it with music, it's like, fuck these kids. I mean, okay, maybe don't say that. So in conclusion, now that a lot of people are going back to Borderlands games in general, and you can see a lot more people on Borderlands 3 compared to what it was doing, I am also part of that hype train. Termex is also part of the hype train, but he recently just uploaded a video where his game is bugged to shit, and he can't seem to play it because every 2 seconds when he shoots his gun or encounters enemies, his game just seems to freeze up like fucking mad. I don't really know what's wrong with that. I think it's a graphics driver issue, but I am not a PC tech nerd. I build PCs, I don't diagnose problems with them, okay? Especially not Unreal games like So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the little rant. I would consider going back to Borderlands 3 and giving it a try if you have given up hope on it in recent years, because I did, and I am going back to the game recently and actually enjoying myself, which I never thought I'd say. So if you are in my boat, please, I'd give it another shot now that all the content's come out. You will need to buy the content, apart from all the free stuff, you will need to buy it. But most of the time nowadays, when a game's come out and it's been out for a few years, they will just make it so the Ultimate Edition or whatever the hell it's called is a lot cheaper, and usually it costs around the same as the normal game price did back in the day anyway. So it's worth looking at. If not, and you're still stubborn and you still decide the game's shit, all power to you. I will catch you in the next video.